What's up, everybody? I'm Rob. This is Nerding Out Sports, and today I'm going to be doing my top 5 players to watch for the Giants' defense in 2020. Before I get into the list, I do have a couple of honorable mentions that I want to talk about. First, I would have said DeAndre Baker. He would have been on this list, but we don't know if he's going to be with the team, so he's kind of an honorable mention, I guess. Another player is Dexter Lawrence. Even though he was a rookie last year, he was really solid. I would expect similar production out of him because he plays his position so well. Jabril Peppers is another guy that I expect to have a bounce back season. He was solid last year, but he did get hurt. I think he's in for a very solid year in 2020. And Lorenzo Carter is a guy that a lot of Giants fans have their eyes on. He had a good rookie season, sophomore slump last year, so we'll see if he bounces back in year number 3. So that is it for the honorable mentions. Now let's get into the list. So first up on the list, I got Ryan Connelly, 5th round pick from last year, and he was very impressive. A very small sample size as he did get hurt in week 4 with a torn ACL. But when he was out there, he was very impressive. And this is such an important position because the Giants have not had a really good middle linebacker since the Antonio Pierce days. But when you look at what Ryan Connelly did last year, in just 4 games, he had 20 total tackles. 10 of them were solo, 10 of them were assisted. He had 2 tackles for a loss, and he had a sack as well. I believe he had 2 interceptions in the 4 games he played, if I'm not mistaken. One of them was a tip in the Redskin game. I don't remember the other interception. But overall, he was really good. And one thing that really stood out to me was his ability to cover. And Giants fans, we know this. Giants have not had a good coverage linebacker in a long time. So to see Ryan Connelly having success there was definitely a breath of fresh air. And of course, almost right on cue, he went down with an injury. But he says he's good to go by training camp. I'm very excited to see what Ryan Connelly brings in year 2. I don't want to jump the gun and say he's going to have like this, Ray Lewis type season, but definitely excited to see what Connelly brings if he's healthy in 2020. Coming up next is 4th round pick of this past year's draft, Darnay Holmes out of UCLA. This is a guy that I think was a steal in the 4th round. I was very excited about the pick. The Giants secondary has been atrocious for a very long time now, and Darnay Holmes is a guy that immediately can come in there and start at the slot cornerback position for the Giants in the 2020 season. He got a lot of praise in the combine, especially from a guy like Deion Sanders. That was huge. Once Deion Sanders had that to say about Darnay Holmes and the Giants picked him, I was excited. Look at what he did last year at UCLA. He played in 10 games. He had 33 tackles, 23 of them were solo, 10 of them were assisted. He had 2 interceptions and 6 passes defended. But when I look at his best year at UCLA, it was probably 2018, where he had 48 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 8 passes defended. This is a guy that could very well play the slot, like I said, for the Giants in 2020, but I could see the potential for him to move to the outside cornerback position along with James Bradberry, especially with the current situation with DeAndre Baker. One thing that would probably, I guess, take Holmes out of that conversation is his height. He is only 5'10", which probably does suit him better to be the slot cornerback, but we'll see what they do. I think when it comes to training camp, when it does start, we're going to see an all-out competition to see who is that number 2 cornerback and who is that nickel corner for the Giants. And I think Darnay Holmes probably suits the nickel cornerback position better than he would outside. But he did play both positions in college, so that's something that does bode well for him. He's very quick. So because, I guess what he lacks in height, I guess he would make up for in speed. So we'll see exactly where it goes. I would expect him to be the starting nickel corner for the Giants, but overall, I'm very excited to see what Darnay Holmes brings to the table. Next up on the list, I have defensive back Julian Love, because I'm still unsure of where the Giants are going to play him this year. Last year, he played some cornerback, and he also played safety. The majority of the time, he was playing safety, especially when Jabril Peppers got hurt. He did start 5 games last year at strong safety for Peppers, and he was really solid in all of his 15 games played. He had 37 tackles, 30 of those were solo tackles, 7 assisted, 5 tackles for a loss, and an interception. So looking forward to the 2020 season, I was thinking that maybe Julian Love could be in competition for that cornerback 2 spot, but he doesn't really have the speed to be there. which I think he could definitely be in line to maybe be the nickel corner if they wanted to move a guy like Darnay Holmes to the outside. Now, again, Julian Love did play outside and nickel corner at college, but he's already showed he could be really good as a safety. So there's a potential that the Giants use a lot of 3 safety sets where they could drop a guy like Jabril Peppers or Xavier McKinney down into the box, and they'll have Love and whoever isn't in the box as a deep safety. So versatility is definitely one of the keys for Julian Love because he can play all over the place, and you're going to see that with a lot of guys on this Giant defense, specifically at the safety position. Guys like him and McKinney and Peppers can play all over the field, but Julian Love is definitely a guy that can have a huge role for the Giants in 2020. Next up is Xavier McKinney, second-round pick, safety out of Alabama. I think I speak for every single Giants fan that when I say that we were shocked that he actually fell to the Giants in the second round. There were so many mock drafts that had him going to Dallas in the first round. I think everyone that's a Giants fan is excited that he did not go there, but in terms of what he brings to the table, well, first of all, let me show you what he did last year at Alabama. In his 13 games played, Xavier McKinney, he had over 200 snaps at 3 different positions. He had 95 tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 sacks, 5 passes defended. So he can do it all. He's pretty much like, I guess, Isaiah Simmons light, if you want to call him that. Because one thing that everyone loved about Isaiah Simmons is he can play all over the place. McKinney can do the same thing. I guess you can say Simmons was the better of the two, but I mean, McKinney is very good. And like I said about Julian Love, the Giants safeties can play all over the field. So we can very well see McKinney play safety. He can play nickel corner. He can drop down to the box and play some linebacker, much like he did last year at Alabama. I think he fits Patrick Graham's defensive scheme perfectly. He's probably going to be the most utilized player on this defense because of his experience playing so many different positions. And he could end up being in the conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year. That's just me, I guess, being biased, but I'm that excited for Xavier McKinney this year. I cannot wait. And rounding out the list, we have Oshane Ximines, third-round pick from Old Dominion last year. Of course, that pick was acquired in the Odell Beckham trade, and this is a guy that many Giants fans, including myself, are extremely excited to watch in 2020. I know the hype right now is high for Oshane Ximines, and for good reason. He was very solid last year, but I do want to say, much like Lorenzo Carter, Lorenzo Carter had a really good rookie season and kind of had that sophomore slump last year, but looking at what Oshane Ximines did in 2019, he started in only 2 games, but he played in all 16 games. He had 25 tackles, 11 solo tackles, 14 assisted. He had 5 tackles for a loss, 4.5 sacks, and 9 quarterback hits. So he was solid in the run game. He was solid in the pass rushing department, and he did not miss. I don't think he missed any tackles. I don't know if I have that stat correct, but I'm pretty sure his missed tackle rate was 0%, which is very, very impressive. And the reason why the excitement level right now is so high for Ximines, and with good reason, because the Giants' current depth chart in pass rushers is not very good. Now, we'll see if that changes if we get Marcus Golden back, but even if we do, you would expect Oshane to be the starter alongside Marcus Golden, and he could be the guy who's in line for the biggest season out of all the pass rushers on this team because he has shown that ability in such short amount of time already to get to the quarterback. So that'll just about do it for my top 5 players to watch on the Giants defense in 2020. If you guys have any other player you would put on this list, let me know in the comment section down below. If you're seeing this on YouTube, give me a thumbs up if you like what you see. Subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on a podcast, feel free to hit that follow button. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Have a great day. Peace out.